Are we ready for our friends in Michigan? You Michiganders, the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. It is safe and simple and easy to use. They've got daily promotions, live dealers. It's fun. You're actually like on your phone and playing blackjack with a live dealer, a warm body. You see them. Daily promotions, hundreds of hot slots and table games. You can play all your favorite casino games and bet on all your favorite sports, odds and bets and slots and games right in your pocket. And a great offer for new users. Download the Play Gun Lake online casino app right now and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. That is for new users only. Casino bonus has to be wagered. Terms and conditions apply. See the website. That's what I recommend you do. Go to playgunlake.com for details. Got to be 21. And in Michigan, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Headlines now from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. I went with the NBC coverage of what transpired in Donald Trump's courtroom yesterday. They're dark today. Judge Merchan does not preside on Wednesdays in that courtroom. The focus was David Pecker, whack, whack, the former publisher, thank you, TC, of the National Enquirer, who testified. He's the lead witness. You want to start your case with a strong witness. You don't put him on the stand unless you think he's going to do real well. He said that the tabloid completely manufactured a negative story in 2016 about the father of Senator Ted Cruz, who was then Trump's rival for the GOP presidential nomination. You'll remember that the paper had published a photo allegedly showing Cruz's father, Rafael Cruz, with Lee Harvey Oswald handing out pro-Fidel Castro pamphlets in New Orleans in 1963, not long before Oswald assassinated Kennedy, and it was all complete bunk.
I mean, I just marvel, as you know. I cannot believe this. We knew it wasn't true, but to hear how they literally put the two pictures together.
Right.
Does now Cruz obviously has said that he doesn't want to revisit old history or something like that.
Correct.
So
Rubio too.
All right. Okay. But eventually, do they have a case against the Enquirer?
Do they have a case against the Enquirer? It would be a defamation action.
And I know they have a big microphone and they have a platform.
Actual malice.
However,
knowledge of falsity. What could be more?
Someone's taught me this.
It's not Ted Cruz. It's the father. The father's got the case. I'm taking that case. If
Okay.
is Rafael Cruz, I hope he is. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's
I don't know.
robust and so forth. But this is like in a law school textbook for knowledge of falsity.
85 years old.
Yeah, for knowledge of falsity, you would want to have a photograph of that cover, a picture of Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, and David Pecker.
Because I know David Pecker has immunity in this case, but he doesn't have immunity in any case ever, forever and ever.
Oh, no. And separate, please, criminal and civil, because he could never be afforded civil immunity, a shield from liability.
Right.
The government could not do that. So this is what we've been talking about.
Yes.
The aspect of this whole thing having been made up and David Pecker explaining it. They had a meeting, 2015, Trump Tower. It's Trump, it's Michael Cohen, it's David Pecker. I got your back. Don't worry. We're going to catch and kill stories, blah, 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 blah. What is most significant legally about all of this is not that it was manufactured and the fun stuff, at least for us, the Ted Cruz, the Marco Rubio, the aliens, Elvis, yada, yada, yada. No. The New York Times correctly on its front page today, where are we? Are we on this camera for the benefit of those who are watching on YouTube? Is it Aleko?
It's Randy. And
Randy,
you were right the first time.
Randy, can you show the second camera view and what I'm holding up in my hand? Oh, good. And let me just move it out of the way. There you go.
Oh, there
it is. So the New York Times, page 1 above the fold, the story, the headline is, Witness recalls burying stories to shield Trump. Okay, that's what we were just discussing. And then the Times wisely has a quotation, help the campaign. Remember, I did a commentary on CNN on Saturday, and then here on Monday, I explained the whole difference here in terms of what was the purpose for the money that Trump paid that ended up going to Stormy Daniels. Was it to shield his family, or was it to help the campaign? And the key words that Pecker said yesterday in his testimony is that in the conversation that he had with Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, this was all for the campaign. And that's the legal hook on which the prosecution is resting its case to say that this was an illegal campaign contribution, because you can't give $130,000 undisclosed. That's problem number one. But the amount is in violation of the limits, unless you're giving it to a super PAC, and they weren't. So that was key. That was the key part. And also what they're trying to do is relieve as much of the burden from Michael Cohen as they possibly can, and make it about all the other testimony that wasn't Michael Cohen's testimony, because they know that on cross-examination he's going to get hammered. So nothing going on in that courtroom today. Judge Merchan not sitting today, which it's kind of interesting. I mean, look, Saturdays and Sundays courts are not in session except in extraordinary circumstances. Some courts have been in Saturday session. But lawyers, skilled trial lawyers, they need to be mindful of the clock. And so if you know, like on a Friday, you want to end on a strong note. And maybe you're ready to, maybe you're finished with a witness, but you'll extend it a little bit rather than hand that baton off to the other side and let them try and end before the jury goes away for a day or two. And in similar fashion, Tuesday, you want to end on a strong note. And I think that Pecker's testimony gave the jurors, here's what I'm trying to say, something to think about on a day when they are today back in their normal lives.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of what the score is at halftime.
Yeah.
It reminds me of going into the locker room with the Big Mo.
That's a good point.
And that's what I always think of with these things. What is he have going on Wednesday, did you say?
He has administrative responsibilities of some kind.
Is that normal?
It's unusual that a case would be interrupted on a Wednesday and that they would only sit Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Friday.
Honestly,
it's unusual.
I feel like
especially a case of this magnitude.
That's what I wondered. I didn't know if it seems somehow a mirror into our remote work. Like it's like remote versus in office, and it's a little choppy, and I don't know. The whole thing is very strange.
Maybe another juror had a dental appointment.
No, because it's every Wednesday.
No, I know. I'm making a joke because there was a dentist.
I know.
Okay. Yesterday, 23,571 votes cast. Should the U.S. government ban TikTok? Let's call it 2/3. 64.34% of those who voted here said yes. The Senate passed this last night. Now it goes to the president for his signature. Of course, it's not just a bill about TikTok. I wonder whether, if it were just a bill about TikTok, would it have passed the House and passed the Senate? Because, of course, it's a bill about funding for Israel. It's a bill about funding for Ukraine. It's a bill about funding for Taiwan. So by throwing TikTok into that mix, it essentially assured that it was going to be passed. I expect there to be a big legal challenge ahead on this. I'm not at all convinced that when it's all said and done, and after court challenge, whether TikTok will have to divest itself, but 2/3 of those who voted here yesterday said they'd like to see that happen. It is a Wednesday. Rob Rogers, the editorial cartoonist, is brilliant. He draws for us on Wednesday. It's a split screen. It is President Biden on one side, the campaign trail, vote for democracy or they'll be hell to pay. Then split screen, there's Donald Trump, the campaign trial, vote for acquittal or there'll be hell to pay. I assume that you are registered for you're a subscriber to the daily newsletter. It is free and it is worthy. And I love, and all of you love, the cartoons. That is a cartoon that's going to look great. Going to look great in the book.
Do you have it?
I'm not prepared to do the unveil, but let me just see if I can reach.
But what do you call it again? The dummy, right? The dummy book. In other words, we talked yesterday, if you guys were listening.
Okay, let me just say.
Oh my gosh.
It's heavy.
Oh my gosh, you just literally
heavy.
hefted
now,
that
by the
thing
way,
up.
For all I know, there could be 2 of them in here. I don't know. This is heavy. So this is
a coffee table book.
Yeah. I have not yet opened this, but this is, this was the suggestion of my friend Buzz Teacher, who said make sure that you get from the printer a dummy because the heft of it is so important. Make sure that you actually see a size representation of what it is.
This is so exciting.
I'll do a unboxing. Yeah, I'll do an unboxing of that at some point soon.
I'm very excited.
But I'm liking what I'm feeling in the weight of that book.
Oh boy.
Okay.
This is exciting. I cannot wait to see that.
Thank you for that.
I like paper.
More headlines now from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. By the way, those of you in Asheville, North Carolina, thank you for buying so many tickets yesterday.
Oh my.
I was asked if I wanted to add a second show. I can't add a second show, but I'm thrilled. that when we get together in September, I will see you in September. There are some seats available, but it's a long way off, and a lot of seats sold yesterday, so hustle if you want to be there in September on a Sunday, the 22nd.
Hey, Asheville, North Carolina, for a September weekend, I'm not sure you get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matinee, so it's at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so you could do whatever you want to do with the rest of the day on a nice fall day in North Carolina. Mitch McConnell roasted Tucker Carlson yesterday. The Senate Minority Leader took shots at the exiled Fox News host Tucker Carlson and presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump while taking a victory lap on the aforementioned foreign aid package that has passed now both the House and the Senate and goes to the president's desk. The dig was elicited, ironically, by a question from Fox News' Chad Pergram.
I think the demonization of Ukraine began by Tucker Carlson, who, in my opinion, ended up where he should have been all along, which is interviewing Vladimir Putin. And so he had an enormous audience, which convinced a lot of rank-and-file Republicans that maybe this was a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Tucker Carlson, but I think that Putin interview certainly played a role in sustaining some of the already existing Republican reluctance to be it's such a sea change when I reflect on when I came of age politically, which was in the early 80s, the 80 campaign in particular, which was 1 year after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. And when I think about how lockstep the Republican Party was under Ronald Reagan's leadership then against all things Soviet Union, and compare the breaks in the ranks to where they are vis-a-vis Putin having invaded Ukraine, it's a sea change. It's a sea change. We've spoken a lot here recently about campus unrest and what's going on around the country. I found this interesting yesterday. President Biden will deliver 2 commencement addresses. That's not unusual. Presidents have been doing that for the last several years. He's going to go to Morehouse College. He'll become the second sitting American president to deliver Morehouse College's commencement address, following in the footsteps of his former boss, Barack Obama. He'll attend a graduation at the HBCU on May 19. He will also go to one of the military academies. He'll be going to West Point. And I take note of the fact where he is not going. He will not be at Columbia. He will not be at Yale. He will not be at Harvard. He will not be at Berkeley. He will not be at MIT. Like, believe me, these were very carefully selected to make sure that he was at arm's length from any of the protests. And let's go certainly to a military academy.
Always to a military, right?
Because that's the right thing to do.
Always go to one.
Because that's the right thing
rotate,
to do.
Right.
Okay. But beyond that, and then frankly, as long as they rotate, your odds as someone at one of the military academies are pretty high that if you go to the commencement, it might not be your year, you'll get to see the American president. So the key selection was, well, what's the second school is he going to go to? And where are we not going to have pro-Palestinian protesters? And Morehouse wins. I'm not taking anything away from Morehouse. I'm just saying that politics definitely played a role on a variety of levels in making the decision as to where he would go. Okay, I love this story today. Love this story from Smerconish.com. I pulled it.
Did you put it precisely after the McConnell and then the Biden headline? I'm just asking.
No, I don't deserve that much credit.
Oh, I do.
I know. Oh, you do. Okay. I know that I loved it when I saw it. When does old age begin?
The older I get, the further along it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. When
99?
When does are we getting older later in life? The dateline for this story is Berlin. People dread the idea of aging. However, a new study from an international team of researchers reveals the definition of old age is changing. Compared to previous generations, people now put off considering themselves old until later in life, yada, yada, yada. Read the story. What's the age? 75.
I love that.
Ooh, he's old. Oh, she's old. How old are they? 75.
Okay, but I don't think you have to say it like old. Like, oh yeah, she's older. Like I
older.
like a little bit. Like,
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
And by the way, I know so many vibrant 75 and 85-year-olds. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think about this.
So I love another story from Axios that is in the newsletter today, and it's really a twofer. because the headline says beer industry boosts ABV. That's not the headline that I rewrote then for the newsletter, and it's true. And by the way, if you're not a beer drinker, you probably don't even think about this, but in an age of craft beers, I'm very aware of it. And it's nothing for me to go out to a restaurant and to say, what do you have on draft? Because I love drinking draft beer. And then I'll say, do you know what the alcohol content is of that?
I always look for it.
And there, yeah, if I
I'm looking for 4 or 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And by the way, I noticed that the waiters, the waitresses are ready for that question. So I'm not the only one who wants to know what's the alcohol
Not
content.
only are they ready, but I am now seeing on chalkboards and menus.
Absolutely.
It's just listed right there because people want to know.
Yeah.
It's important
because
it's whether I can have 1, 2, or 3 beers.
I want to have more than one.
Me too.
I want to have more than one. Okay. So this twofer of a story.
This was shocking to me.
On one hand, now prominent breweries are promoting beers with higher alcohol content approaching 10%, essentially double the octane of a traditional beer. So like
That's a sipping beer.
A 10%er is going to be in a, like in a cognac glass,
right.
Like in a brandy sifter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it's a sipping beer.
right. Yeah,
It's like
that's
that
not for me.
Fancy one that we got a while ago when
Oh, yeah.
Utopia.
Sam Adams.
Utopia.
Yeah, the Sam Adams
That's
beer.
what that
right,
is.
came in a beautiful jug.
Beautiful.
So that's one end of the spectrum where there's a market. People want a 10% alcohol content in their beer.
Wow.
But at the same time, when you go further into the story, it says, at the same time, interest in non-alcoholic and low ABV beers is booming. The trends are not contradictory because consumers are picking beverages for different occasions. I'm a prime example of this. Yes, last night before dinner, I had a Heineken Zero. And then with dinner, I had no alcohol in it at all. And then I had a second beer. What did I have? I had a Conshohocken Brewery, which was probably like a 6%er with dinner.
So I went completely non-alcoholic last night. I had an Athletic Upside Down, and I had it in a frosty glass.
Yeah.
And I found it just delicious. Just so good. And it's totally because of you. It's totally because of your dry January. And I have just continued that trend. And I really, really enjoy those non-alcoholic beers.
I recommend, for me, what's working for me is alternating.
Yeah.
Have a non-alcoholic.
That's what I usually do.
Tastes great.
Last night was unusual.
No buzz.
Right.
Have a second one.
Yeah.
And then, maybe you're done on a school night. Today's poll question at Smerconish.com: should airports offer non-TSA security lines for those willing to pay a fee and undergo a background check, creating a fast pass system for the wealthy? Update on this bill, by the way. A California bill that would target the airport security screening company Clear now has just passed its first legislative hurdle, though it was watered down amid steep industry opposition to avoid effectively placing a ban on the company. I'll have more on that tomorrow, but the issue in the abstract lives. What non-TSA? Not even talking about TSA, but what about a fast pass, think Disney, for people who are willing to pay for it? That is today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. See ya.